Hello and welcome back to Josh Davidson Books. This is my author channel where I'm continuing my reread of the very first novel that I ever wrote, Werewolves Hide. It is part of my process for doing research for the sequel that I'm working on, currently known as Book 2. If you are enjoying this series, if you enjoyed this chapter that we read today, which is chapter 17, and you've enjoyed any previous chapters, please consider buying the book. It's only $4.99 for the digital version. If you buy it, please give it a review on Amazon. It really makes a big difference and will really help build some momentum as the sequel starts to get closer to release, which I'll have to say more about that in the future. Anyway, so we just wrapped up a bombshell of a chapter, in my opinion, where we learned all kinds of stuff that maybe we didn't want to know or learn. And now we're in chapter 17. So Bo has just mentioned that he was going to cook dinner for his, pregnant girlfriend. Later in the evening, Bo cooks dinner in Lacey's trailer's kitchen. Spaghetti noodles boil in a pot while hamburger beef sizzles in the pan next to it. On the counter is a bowl of red spaghetti sauce next to a baking sheet covered in wax paper with raw croissants resting on it. Bo is stirring the sauce when the stove's preheat oven light turns off. Now that it's ready, he sets the bowl down and picks up the croissant baking sheet to put it in the oven, closing the door quickly behind it to not let the heat out. Bo wipes his hands clean after shutting the stove door and pulls his cell phone out of his pocket. He looks at a text thread from Tommy that is full of cooking instructions. Reviewing everything he has started so far, it appears he is following along correctly. His thumb scrolls the screen down to the time recommended for the croissants. He uses the timer on the microwave above the stove to know when to take them out. While Bo has been practicing his amateur chef skills, Billy the dog has sat in the middle of the kitchen floor the entire time. So I liked this idea of Tommy not just becoming a part of Madison's life through the story, but becoming a part of Bo's life. Since Madison is kind of a surrogate mother figure to him, and he, is like family to him, and Bo has not really had father figures in his life, I thought it would make sense that Tommy would kind of accidentally have that relationship with him. They're all adults. Tommy's not trying to, overstep his boundaries or do anything to Bo except to help him. He helps him when he finds him at the end of the mountain. And now that Bo knows that Tommy's a chef because Tommy cooked for Madison, I just liked that idea of Tommy of here's how you cook. Here's how you make your partner happy. Just trust me, cook some spaghetti, and giving Bo a recipe. I just thought that was a really fun kind of character to character interaction that seemed very natural and was not part of the previous plan when I was thinking about the relationships in this book. Billy, the dog is panting nonstop as his head twitches left and right, following Bo's every move, entirely enraptured by the actions of his human companion. Bo goes over the checklist out loud to himself. Noodles, burger, croissants, marinara, peppers, a little seasoning should be it. And the mushrooms, don't forget those. A chipper, high-pitched voice with an English accent speaks to Bo, seemingly out of thin air. Bo looks all around the kitchen and further toward the rest of the trailer. He looks down at Billy the dog, who is still just sitting there, panting, staring at him. Bo cocks his eyes to the side of his head, trying to figure out what was just heard. After a moment of silence, save for the sizzling and boiling food on the stove, he turns back around to keep cooking. Bo speaks out loud to himself again. Now I know I'm hungry. You didn't know earlier when you started cooking the food? The jolly English voice chimes in again, confused about Bo's statement. And if you want to hear this voice as an English voice, just buy the book. I'm not here to perform the book. I'm here to read it, okay? I'm doing homework, and I'm sharing it with you to join me on the journey. But if you want these voices in your head, just read the story yourself. Bo aggressively turns back around, this time with a giant butcher knife in his hand as he grows increasingly impatient with not understanding what is happening to him. He looks all around again, still at nothing, oblivious to where this voice is coming from. His eyes dart back and forth inside his motionless body as he prompts the voice to speak again. That's kind of what I had in my head, of him just kind of looking everywhere while he was motionless. Who's there? Me! The lively English voice responds with glee. Bo sees nothing in the living room or down the trailer hall. He looks down at the dog. Me who? Bo asks in a slightly fearful manner. Me, Billy! Billy the dog further responds in his English accent. Bo jumps back against the counter and drops the knife on the floor. He gasps in shock as Billy the dog keeps speaking to him in human language. Well, don't look so surprised, mate. You asked a question, I'm going to answer. No need to be rude. Billy sits perfectly still as he keeps talking to Bo. Bo stammers in an uncertain frustration. But I don't understand. Billy immediately joins in on the confusion. How do you think I feel? I was minding my own business waiting for you to drop some food with your when your muzzle spouted. Wait, okay, hang on. Everybody slow down. What did I write here? Okay. How do you think I feel? I was minding my own business waiting for you to drop some food when your muzzle spouting gobbledygook started sounding clear as a bell to me. So muzzle I stumbled upon when I was looking for like dog related terms that I could use when I described some of this scene, and I found that the word muzzle, it means mouth, but we also use muzzles to cover the mouths of dogs. So I thought it would be, again, a little dad jokey of me to have the dog call Bo's mouth his muzzle, right? So I was waiting for you to drop some food when your muzzle spouting gobbledygook started sounding clear as a bell to me. Bo holds his face in shock as he thinks about what is happening. He looks down at his hands and suddenly, dark blue nails are beginning to grow out of them. He races back to the bathroom as Billy follows him at full sprint. Wait for me, I'm running with you, Billy shouts as they run together to the bathroom. Bo turns on the bathroom light and looks in the mirror. He sees that his eyes are changing yellow, and a slight snout is forming in the front of his face. He's confused and scared as he talks to himself. Maybe also to Billy, too. I'm in control. He said I'm supposed to be in control. Billy hops up on the toilet next to Bo and comments excitedly, You sound like me while I'm trying to hold in a piddle at the front door. He continues to watch himself change in the mirror when suddenly the front door of the trailer is heard opening. Baby, what is all this? Lacey gets home early from work and sees all the food cooking in the kitchen. Bo looks at Billy, and Billy looks at Bo. They both dart out of the bathroom at the same time and run down the hall just as Lacey looks his way. She can see the back of his head and body, but he seems normal to her. Why are you running? Lacey shouts towards Bo as he goes to the bedroom. Bo enters in a panic as Billy squeezes in just behind him, as the door is slammed shut and locked. He looks down at his hands and sees that claws have grown in on both hands. He shouts back at Lacey through the door, I'm just, changing. Be out in a sec. Bo's voice starts to sound deeper and wolf-like. Do you get it? He says changing, and it's because he's a wolf, but you think it's just clothes. Do you get it? He scours the bedroom in a panic, looking for anything he can cover himself up with or hide behind. He opens the closet and pulls out all kinds of clothes, tossing them over his shoulder onto the bed behind him. Billy jumps onto the bed and navigates the clothes as they are thrown in his direction. Bo finds the new dress clothes his dad bought him and immediately changes into them. As he removes his white t-shirt, a small dark blue patch of hair can be seen on his right front abdomen where his change point is. The fur quickly dissipates, however, and most of his body looks human. Apparently, he is not in full wolf form, but instead is in a partial change like his dad had described earlier. Listen, mate, I want to help. I'm just not sure how. Maybe I can create a diversion for you. Piddle on the couch? Jump on the counter and spill the sauce? Spill the sauce on my way to piddling on the couch? Billy rattles off his suggestions. Bo angrily turns around while trying to squeeze his legs into his pants. No piddling! Lacey shouts from out in the living room. Oh, did Billy have another accident? Yeah. Just cleaning that up quick, too. Bo shrugs his shoulders at Billy to say sorry. Billy scowls at Bo and shakes his head. You're pinning this on me. After all we've been through. I just love Billy the dog. I just love the interactions, the kind of like Abbott and Costello, like, very sitcom-y of like, double meanings in the words. I'm changing, no piddling, just shenanigans, just really goofball shenanigans. Again, the last chapter that's really allowed to be kind of lighthearted. Bo realizes he isn't going to find anything in here and starts to try to find a way out of the trailer. He presses against the walls to see how sturdy they are or how easy they would be to break through. Barely pressing against it with his hand, his werewolf strength instantly puts a hole through it. He shouts at himself as he realizes that's a bad idea. He looks up at the ceiling and the vent is obviously too small. He looks past it and locks eyes on the bedroom window at the back of the trailer. It's the same window that Lacey looked out of when he came home drunk. Bo opens the window and tries to climb out, but he's slightly too large, and the fall is several feet down. Instead, he looks out the window to see if anything could help him get out and notices the shed in the backyard. So here's the thing about this moment. Bo doesn't understand his own strength. He's not used to being a werewolf. And this is his first time having consciousness as a wolf. So he's acting like a human. He's almost like he's like a bull in a china shop, where he has all of this power and this strength that he doesn't understand and doesn't even assume. Like a several feet fall is nothing for a werewolf. If you think about all of the jumping that you've seen and has been described to you, and how strong these wolves are, and how he got shot by a shotgun and it didn't matter. So that's not an oversight. To say that, oh, it's too far. He doesn't know his own strength and what he's capable of. He's just acting like a human that happens to like be a werewolf right now. The shed, there's holiday stuff in there, decorations and costumes. Bo is excited as he may have found a solution. Continuing to try and find a way to squeeze through the window, he suddenly hears the sound of the bathroom door opening and closing. His right ear leans against the door as he suddenly realizes that the hearing is working in both of his ears. He snaps his finger next to his right ear and laughs as he perceives how loud it is. He snaps his fingers on either side of his head, nodding left and right, along with his snaps. He almost starts crying joyfully as he can't remember the last time he could take in full sound around him. You better snap to it if you want to get past her, Billy reminds Bo of his current predicament. Bo comes back to his senses and immediately opens the bedroom door. He looks and confirms the bathroom door is shut with the light glowing through underneath it. He runs past it as fast as possible, heading towards the front door. Wait for me, I'm running with you, Billy shouts again as they run together. I just thought it'd be funny if he just said the same thing. Like, because every time a dog runs, it's just like that same glee and excitement and wonder and kind of goofiness. And so I just thought it would be funny if he just said the same thing every time he ran. When Bo gets to the front door, he runs out agitated. Billy stays behind this time, putting his paws up on the glass as he watches. From inside the shed, Bo slides the door open and lets light in, showing a lawnmower surrounded by various old dusty cardboard boxes. They have different labels on them like Christmas, Halloween, fireworks, etc. He tosses a few boxes out of the way and finally gets to one labeled Halloween. He claws it open with his hands and smiles at what he finds inside. A little while later, the food is all done cooking and Lacey is sitting at her small kitchen table eating spaghetti. She slurps a bite full of noodles before wiping her face with a napkin. She looks down at Billy with a scowled brow, believing he had another accident in the house. Bad, Billy. Bad dog. You should know better. No sketty for you. Lacey holds him and then reaches for the cheese. She picks it up and offers it across the table to Bo. More Parmesan? Bo is sitting across the table from Lacey, wearing a giant sheep's mask with matching sheep gloves. The long-sleeve white dress shirt that his dad bought him is completely buttoned up, covering as much as it can while appearing as if the buttons could burst at any moment. No thank you, Bo mutters from beneath the sheep mask. I just loved this idea of just, a wolf in sheep's clothing as costume, as pretend. I thought that would be really fun. Lacey sets the cheese back down on the table and continues eating. The awkward silence is filled with scraping utensils on Lacey's plate, as she is the only one eating. She takes another delicious bite of spaghetti and smiles at Bo suspiciously. Not hungry? No, you go ahead, babe. I cooked it for you. Bo lies through his sheep mask. Maybe at least ask for a croissant and drop it on the ground or something. Least you could do after throwing me under the pet wagon. Billy looks up at Bo from the floor. So again, the phrase is throw me under the bus. But I did some research and I was like, is there a transportation for a lot of dogs? Can I find dog phrasing for bus? And apparently pet wagons are a thing. So I use that. Billy looks up at Bo from the floor. No! Bo shouts at Billy with an unexpected level of anger. He's just sitting there. Lacey chastises Bo for shouting at the dog. Oh, right. He remembers she can't hear the dog. What's wrong with your voice? Bo pretends not to notice. Your voice. It sounds off. Lacey can't quite put her finger on it. Before I forget, I want to call back to, so this idea that your wolf form is different from your human form, such that if you're deaf as a human, you can hear as a wolf. A wolf is like a fully realized, fully featured animal that has all of its senses, unless it gets hurt in wolf form, which so far in the lore of this book, we don't see how that could happen unless somebody knows where your change point is. But I thought that would be really interesting, because another point that I was trying to make with this is that in most werewolf stories, um, it's like this bad thing, and I wanted to make being a werewolf kind of have the potential to be a good thing, um, so that there was, again, more drama, more chance for conflict, and more indecision of what people might want to do, how they might want to change, who they might want to share it with, things like that. So yeah, this conflict that these people probably feel when they change to wolf form, I thought was interesting. Oh, I had a coughing fit earlier, so it's just a little scratchy. He rubs his throat with one of his sheep gloves. Lacey has had enough of the games. She stands up and grabs a croissant off the table. I insist, babe, you worked really hard on this. You should enjoy it. She walks over to Bo's side of the table with the croissant in her hand. Bo slides his chair back and puts his sheep glove hands up in a defensive gesture. No, please, baby, just wait a sec. I can explain. Bo is trying to stall. I don't think you're getting out of this one, mate. Karma sucks, doesn't it? Maybe next time you try to drag me into rough. Billy starts shouting at Bo, but in the middle of his sentence, it turns back into regular dog barks. Lacey reaches for the sheep mask and slowly starts to pull it off. Bo puts his hands up trying to stop her, but she pushes them down. She slowly pulls the sheep mask off his face and reveals that he has changed back to normal. Billy keeps barking like a regular dog and runs around in a circle. You gonna tell me what all this costume business is about? Does my face look okay? Bo asks in genuine suspense as his voice has returned to normal. Better than okay. You're cute as a button. Lacey leans down and kisses him on the forehead. Why? Oh, when I was cooking, some of the hot water splashed on my hands and face, and I didn't want to bring up old memories of your accident while we were trying to enjoy dinner, that's all. Bo covers for his strange behavior, obviously calling back to how Lacey went blind in her eye with the grease accident from when she was a kid. Lacey scoffs. Sweetie, you know me better than that. This has been my whole life. Bo laughs nervously. I know. I just worried because I had such a rough spell lately. I'm trying to stay straightened out even with all the stress. I noticed. You haven't been smoking or drinking or nothing. Lacey is pleased with the recent changes in Bo. It's all for you, Lacey. I'm doing my best to get better so you can be proud of me when our little girl gets here. And I know once I'm cleaned up, I'll finally be able to find a job. He continues to keep the job he is working a secret. Bo leans his right ear against her belly to listen to the baby's heartbeat. For a moment, he forgets he is deaf in that ear in his human form and is sad that he can't hear anything. Baby, if you want to pretend I'm not blind, that's fine. But that ear don't work and you know it. Lacey is confused why Bo is trying to listen with his bad ear. Oh yeah, whoops. He tries to cover for it and quickly switches to the other ear. He hears his baby's heartbeat and gently rocks back and forth, dancing with Lacey while sitting down to the sound of his baby's heart. The moment is interrupted by Bo's phone vibrating in his pocket. He has a text message from Madison that reads, Me and the geology guy are going to be out at the park soon. Meet you there? Oh, I gotta go. Bo puts his phone back in his pocket and stands up. Lacey continues to hold him. For what? Where do you gotta go? Aunt Maddie and this science guy that works for the park. I'm helping them research some rocks we found near where my accident happened. If we can find where they came from, we might get more details about what's causing these crashes. Bo sets the sheet mask down on the side table. Lacey stops him from rushing out the door and pulls him back by the arm so they can hug again. While they hold each other close, she speaks softly. You know, you don't gotta wait for a job to give me a ring. If that's something you're thinking of doing, I'm with you no matter what. I want my family to be together and do things right, like my folks did. So I'm not saying I need it. I'm saying if you want it, you ain't gotta wait for nothing. You already have me. Bo reaches back towards his back pocket, where a large, square-shaped ring box is protruding out while concealed by his white shirt. He squeezes his hand inside, apparently getting ready to take it out. But at the last moment, it gets stuffed back down. He whispers back to her while they continue hugging. I do want it. I've wanted it ever since you first cracked my skull in with that beautiful noggin of yours. Lacey leans back from the hug and looks at Bo straight on. She smiles and laughs as they pretend to bump heads again. Bo closes his eyes and rests his forehead on hers. I don't know what you see in me. Well, not literally, you know what I mean. They both chuckle. Lacey keeps her eyes closed too as she responds. For better or worse, I still see you as that shy kid grilling for me at the diner, just needing someone to give him a chance. And someone who accepts me and my faults too. I see you as my child's father, and I think we got our tough times done early in life because I see a bright future in you, for us. Bo's phone vibrates again in his pocket several times. He quickly gives Lacey a kiss and then turns to head out the door. Let's finish the chapter and I'll share my thoughts. On the way out, he starts to pat his pockets per his routine before seeing the keys sitting on top of the fridge. He quickly grabs them. Okay, baby, gotta go. Be back later. Sleep good. Bo runs out of the door. I hear you. She shouts her side of their little love phrase at him as the front door slams shut, then looks down at Billy. So piddling in the house again. What do you have to say for yourself? And that's the end of chapter 17. Really proud of that chapter too. I gotta tell you, just full honesty, I'm really proud of this book. I'm really proud of these last few chapters. It is kind of everything that I've wanted to do in a story, where you've got character, you've got plot, you've got comedy, you've got love, you've got mystery. The violence and the gore and the scary side of the wolf stuff always lurking in the background. These last few chapters I've kind of are really reinvigorating, my need to keep going with the sequel. And, the first half of the book, I was feeling pretty confident about the sequel. This second half of the book, that's getting pretty significantly better in my opinion, as a reread, reading it for the first time in a while. Now I'm starting to get scared. Now I'm like, oh man, okay, the back half was really good. I don't know if I can outdo myself here. So again, trying not to provide future spoilers, but knowing how the story ends, and knowing what these characters have been through, it's really similar to that opening chapter where, I as the author, whether I know it in the moment or I find out later in writing, ultimately, at the end of the day, before the book comes out, I know what happens with these characters. And so when you're writing, you can't write like the characters know what's going to happen. Like for me, I know that there's going to be a significant portion of this story before Bo and Lacey reconnect or see each other again in any capacity. And so I put a little extra emphasis, it was almost a little too sweet. Denise needs her insulin. It was a little too cute, a little too lovey-dovey, but that's because I knew that these characters might not see each other again for a really long time. And so I wanted it to be like a memorable thing. But as far as I'm concerned, Lacey and Bo have really had a tumultuous time the last few days or few weeks in this book, and the fact that he's getting cleaned up, that he's cooking her dinner, that he's taking care of her, trying to get a job, I felt that it would be nice if they had, a really sweet moment in the kitchen, just before the third act comes in. So I'm really proud of this chapter. I really like it. I love the Billy the dog stuff. I love that. Obviously I like it, but what I'm saying, when I say I like it, I'm saying reading it for the first time in 8 months and having kind of forgot the moment to moment stuff, I've got reinvigorated passion and proudness over it, and it's fresher in my mind now. So if you liked this chapter, and if you've liked any of these chapters, please consider buying the book. It's only $4.99 for the digital version. I'm working on a sequel. You can get invested and have more story to look forward to. And if you are interested in me and my authorship long term and what other stories I might work on for the rest of my life, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, like the videos, comment on the videos. If you do comment on this video, make sure that there's no spoilers or a very healthy spoiler warning as to not ruin it for anybody else, and try to keep the comments focused just on this chapter that we read. As always, thank you for watching or listening, and I'll see you in the next video.